I think there is a reason why athletes have dental problems. I think one of them is dry mouth. My dentist has told me that a lot of athletes, because we train so hard and we're using water in other parts of our body, that we often get a dry mouth, and because it's warm and dry, it's perfect for bacteria to breed and eat into our teeth. That's one reason. I think another reason is the amount of sugary drinks, energy drinks, supplements, protein shakes, all these things that we have to get into our stomachs to keep us training at a high level. Because we're endurance athletes and not power athletes, we have to take in a lot of carbohydrate to keep our bodies moving and fueled and to a high level. But carbohydrate's not great for your teeth.
I'm a medical student now, so I am starting to learn more about how important oral hygiene is. And I think there's a lot of things which, you know, could be looked after so much better, and you can really learn what kind of effects that has on different parts of the body. It's not just your mouth and your teeth, you know, it can lead to all sorts of other issues and needs to be checked up on. And I think one of the major things for sport that isn't looked after enough is people using sports drinks, for example, because they can be really sugary, and the way people drink them can really pull against the teeth, you know, and something so simple as that. And a lot of people in sports, especially sort of just below elite level, think that's really important. They should be using those sports drinks, but actually they can also be detrimental to the health.
And it's also little things like, you know, I can have the best gum shield in the world to protect my teeth from cutting my gums. But then the issue what I found is that, you know, when I'm having my energy drinks in training, while I'm sparring and so on, the sugar gets caught in the gum shield. So it's important to make sure you rinse your mouth out, so you're staying on top of your hygiene. So that way you spend no time out of the gym and you can focus on being the best athlete possible.
Tant'è che io ho sempre usato il bite in gara, e non solo in gara, anche nel dormire, perché nei momenti di sottostress risultava spesso che io dormissi male per una tensione mandibolare che mi portava poi dopo uno stress muscolare in tutto il corpo. E grazie al bite ho avuto la possibilità di trovare o di rifinire bene i miei allenamenti. E andavo spesso, anzi sono sempre andato, cioè andavo ogni mese a fare questi trattamenti e ne trovavo subito benefici, tant'è che io poi ho cercato di trasmetterlo ai miei colleghi, avversari anche, e per sapere se risultava lo stesso, quello che provavo io risultava anche a loro, e questo è stato. Tant'è che adesso parecchi atleti italiani e non fanno uso di questi trattamenti, cercano di assettarsi a livello dentale, tenere logicamente la bocca pulita spesso, e usano tantissimi il bite nello sci di fondo.
Well, I've certainly noticed that if I can control my diet properly, then I have a much better oral hygiene. I have much less tartar and much less acidity in my mouth, and at the same time managing my oral care through diet, actually, more than anything else, also helps me sports-wise, because there's less acidity in the body. I don't have to spit all this nasty stuff up when I'm running fast, and also the lack of acidic foods, which could be very bad for tendons and muscles, are also all brought down to an absolute minimum.
I think there's two bits or two situations where we see the biggest impact. The first is day to day, where if you have niggling issues that are being neglected or not treated when they need to be, we find athletes possibly missing sessions or just being generally under the weather. You know, we already know that if there's inflammation in the mouth, we know there's probably inflammation in the whole body, and so that's going to have an effect on how your body responds to the training we do. We're always training at the very limit anyway. So if your oral health isn't perfect, then maybe you're overdoing the training and your body can't adapt. And I think the other situation is racing, where it's a bit more of an acute issue. We've had athletes, they've attended a world championships, the highest competition that we would attend in a year if it wasn't the Olympics, and people who've not been able to race because of a dental issue. We've had people with like a dental abscess, for example, and it's all because of poor dental hygiene. It's resulted in an abscess, and unfortunately they weren't able to race. The whole crew weren't able to race, and they missed out on a medal opportunity. They were a really good crew. One of the guys goes down, and that was it. There was no other option. So I think those two situations, the day-to-day grind of training not necessarily getting the best out of ourselves because of that constant inflammation, and then the other side of acute problems we get, not necessarily at competitions, but also on training camps. And it's obviously very difficult for us to treat these issues when we're outside of our normal, training venue. I've been quite lucky to have both sides and help other athletes who've experienced, dental problems. They come into the practice and we said, look, this is something that's going to have a big effect on your performance if you can get this right. And so with quite a few athletes now, that's starting to get through. And we try and work with all the athletes here whenever we can get them in, we do.
I think one of the worst occasions I had was when my wisdom teeth came through, and it was a classic thing. I had some pain, but I ignored it, and I just thought, oh, it's nothing, it'll go away, took some paracetamol. And then I was actually racing that weekend, luckily not a huge international regatta, but a big event. And the day before the racing started, I was up all night. I was in extreme amounts of pain. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was going wrong. And middle of the night, there wasn't much I could do about it. And actually, the infection in my wisdom teeth got so bad that I ended up getting ill and losing my voice. And one of the only things you need as a cox is to be able to speak. So I actually ended up having to be pulled out of the racing because of that wisdom tooth coming through. And it was so frustrating because I knew that if I'd done something about it sooner and if I'd paid attention when there was some pain, then that could have been avoided.
It's the circle, actually, that if you can manage your diet, you have much better oral health, and also you're looking after your tendons and your muscles at the same time.
I wouldn't say. I think because I got into dentistry as soon as I left school, I didn't have any time off. I went straight into university. I think it was quite early on that I started to learn, but before that, there was never any dental input. There was definitely medical stuff, dietitians, physiotherapy, but I definitely wouldn't say there was any thought or even input into kind of dental health in general. I was quite lucky that my parents were very dentally aware. They made sure that I was always brushing my teeth, that I did a really good job, and they checked when I was younger. But in terms of on like a medical level, especially when we get into the Welsh team, for example, and then pushing up to the under-23s, there really wasn't any sort of discussion about dental health and how that could affect our performance. And if I'm honest, it was always left to yourself as an individual to deal with that. I think if that was actually put into a program, or we were made a bit more aware of it, we'd quite easily be able to avoid a lot of the issues that seem to come up or crop up later on in our careers.
Yeah, we did have some training in oral health, and especially before the major competitions, we were really told that you should go and make sure everything is checked out, make sure that there aren't any problems. So, for example, before Rio, I was having some pain, and it turned out I needed root canal, and that was the kind of thing we could have put off, but actually it was really important to get that seen to before we went to the Olympics so that nothing could crop up. However, I think there isn't enough done. It can be a really easy fix for a lot of people, making sure they're looking after their teeth and making sure they're looking after their oral hygiene. And I think it should be looked after more, and people should take more care of it.